Last night I drove to Harper's Fair and I thought about you. There were signs on the roads that warned me of stop signs. The speed limit kept decreasing by 10 as we entered a town about halfway there. It was almost raining at the train station. We put our hoods on our heads at the train station. We threw rocks into the river underneath the train tracks. And when the train came, it was so big and powerful. When it came into the little station, I wanted to put my arms around it, but the conductor looked at me funny. So we had to say goodbye and leave. The Monopoly board still in the backseat. Took that night turn to get out of town. Ran into the decreasing speed limits again. What should I do? Eat breakfast. What should I do? Eat lunch. What should I do? Eat dinner. What should I do? Go to bed. Where can I go? Go to the store. Where can I go? Apply for jobs. Where can I go? Go to a friend's. Where can I go? Go to bed. Last night I dreamed he was trying to kill you. I woke up and I was trying to kill you. It's been a year since we first met. I don't know if we're boyfriends yet. Do you have any crimes that we can use to pass the time? I am running out of drugs to try. We said we dated you once. We wanted to be we said we dated you we wanted to more groceries get eaten, get more groceries, get eaten, get more groceries.
Oh, hello. What up, gamers? Hello. Another day, another stream. Today, the plan was to do a little bit of a coaching session, but that did not happen. Because the person I was gonna coach got a little bit busy. Don't worry, I'm still gonna coach them when we both have free time, but I had a backup plan. So we're gonna do that backup plan. We're gonna talk about the blue base. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be fun. Is my like I'm gonna make this a little brighter. There we go. So when I lean back, it's okay. All right. I looked at the last stream and I realized that I was not close enough to my microphone, and I would constantly do this, and it would fuck up the audio a little bit. This one was a little more last minute. I didn't advertise this as much as I otherwise would. But here we are. We're just gonna talk about the blue base and how it goes. I'm not gonna get into it right now. I'm just gonna chill here. So if anyone's in the chat, say hello. I'm gonna go and take this time, and I'm gonna go push my stream to people. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. All right, I posted the places. Hello, hello, Shifty Friends, too. What's up? Oh my God, my chat thing is working. Oh bless. Oh bless. I was doing testing and it wasn't working. I don't know why, but we're here. So I'm just vibing. I completely forgot about dinner, so I'm ordering DoorDash. So at some point, my chicken teriyaki will get here, and I'll probably eat that while discussing the blue vase. And you know, there is kind of like some like moral issues with ordering DoorDash in general. Not like the company or anything, but just like what it says about you as a human being. I will assure you that I am using Nat's money and I'm treating myself well. Howdy, howdy. What's up, Tasha? Oh my God. More stream. Streaming is so much easier than making videos. And it's also like better because I can interface with the chat and you can like ask me questions and I can dynamically respond to them during the stuff. But yeah, no, I'm gonna chill here. I'm gonna let some people filter in. Have a good time. Blah 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 blah. I have exciting news that I'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, no, I'm just vibing. I have fun things to talk about that I'll just like while I have the time and while we're waiting for it to start. I just like couldn't wait to turn on the camera and talk to people. So I like it's scheduled at 6, but I just did it a little early. I have this Sage Icelander deck, which is great. But because my family was watching my games and didn't know what was going on, my sister and her partner have been wanting to learn the game because it looks cool. So I'm gonna buy. I bought this Age Precon a while ago, this Icelander one, because like I just think Icelander's cool. Not really a deck I would play competitive capacity because this is not really my forte, but I still really like the design of the hero. And so yeah, I'm gonna buy a couple Sage Precons at my local game store and sleeve them up, and then go show them how to play the game, and hopefully they end up liking it. So. Girl, got about 10 minutes left on this bus ride to hang around and chat. Hello, what's up, Anon? Yeah, we're just chilling here. I'm glad you could join in, even if it's for like a very brief little bit. But how's everyone's weeks been in Flesh and Blood? I'm just sending this out, and then if people want to engage with that, then I'll read that on the chat. But I just recorded a Breakpoints podcast episode with like Taylor and Agroblaze and Sam Young, and that was quite the doozy. Agro said it was really funny, and I agree. It was very off topic, I will say. We kind of got off topic at multiple times, and we didn't talk too much about my run, but it's like I've talked about my run at length for the past couple weeks, so I really didn't mind it at all. Yep, we're here chilling. Okay, also, by the way, I'm gonna link this in the chat. Wait, I can do this live. I'm so oh my gosh, I can do it live, right? How to do exclamation mark stuff on YouTube. Fuck. Just prepping for Nats. Excited to test my latest 5 build at Army tomorrow. Fuck yeah. Which nationals are you playing for? I may know you, but I don't know you from your username because you are in fact anonymous. I may know you from just like random Discord stuff, Fi chat or like DMs. How to do commands in YouTube live stream. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I can just edit in Streamlabs real quick, but I'll probably do up AGD. I've been on fire playing Marlin recently, but sad the cards didn't line up during Nats. Yeah. I'm glad that you're sticking with Marlin. I genuinely believe Marlin is strong coming into what's happening like after this point. I think the deck does a very strong thing, and if like Fai and Sindra continue to be high representation, I think you're in a great spot with Marlin. You need to change the username on YouTube. Yes, you know who I am. Do I have to guess? Oh no, this is scary. I'm so scared. Chat box. Nope, we're not editing the chat box. Hopefully someone oh wait, I got a natural. Put the alert box right there. Yeah, if someone subscribes to me, they'll get to see a fun surprise. I added an alert box, which I'm pretty pumped about. Okay. Whoo! Okay, saved. We're saved. Day 2 calling Vegas to finally break the day 2 dry streak. Yeah, I wish you luck on that. I'm gonna be in Vegas playing in the main event. Is Best Fi Blue? Push the point? I don't think it's on the tier list maker that I made. Wait, I can like literally add it real quick. Push the point. I can do that just for you. That's actually not bad. Wait, okay. This is not the worst thing I've seen. It's like Dragon Power, but it's slightly worse in blocks too. It seems like actually reasonable, but as like a niche tech blue. But I think we just like, I think the card is good if the card pool is lower, but I think if we had more cards, but because we have so many powerful blues. Yeah. It used to be the spice. I can see it very much so being the spice with like the limited stuff. Um. Do, 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 do. Um. Okay, wait. I could probably do it in the YouTube thing. Um. View my channel. I'm a professional YouTuber. Trust me. It is kind of Blue Lava Burst, low key. I get that. Oh wait. Oh, are you saying Blue Lava Burst? Isn't it like that's like a blue? They need to make Blue Lava Burst. Starts at 0 and then goes up to 3. I think we'd play the shit out of Blue Lava Burst because that would be like a 0 for 4 blue on like Chain Link 4 or higher with triggering Shuko. I'd play the shit out of Lava Burst blue. Live. But well, looks like we're gonna set it up later. Anyways, I have an article with AGE. Everyone, please click on the link, please. It's AGE. It's under AGE Premium right now. But if you want to get it when it's hot, then go into AGE Premium. AGE Premium super cool site. AGE in general is a super cool site. Bryce Platt's got a chance to reach out to me. And I was really proud of the article I put out. It's about it's a 33-minute read. It's very dense with Fai information. It should hopefully help you get a baseline start on how to prep and why Fai was good and the history of Fai leading up to now. It's a kind of an all-in-one, where is Fai? How was Fai? How did we get here with Fai? What are we doing now? And maybe and a little bit about stuff from the future. So if you want to the best way, unironically, to support me is go on AGE and get a premium subscription and read my article. That is the best way you could support me right now because I don't really care enough to open up the tip jar and be like, spare change, please. But please show AGE that you really fuck with the article, and hopefully that will continue for me. That'll catapult me into maybe writing some more stuff for them. So. Please, by the very means, check it out. Pick the is Blue Lava Burst if you squint and count Shuko. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Oh, yeah, because that also triggers Shuko, so that's like a 1 for 5. That's pretty good. Sorry, my throat's getting a little clogged. Anyways, we're here. Let's get right into the video. So here we are at YouTube. But before we do that, I just want to show you. I'm here! Yay! We don't click the read now because I don't want to get everything fucked up. But y'all should check out my article. Here's my lovely face with Fai behind. And you should definitely check it out. You got a bunch of good articles here. You got Zach's article as well. Paul Van Heysel, that moment on stream. Also, I'm not paid. They do not pay me or do not tell me to advertise my article or advertise AGE. I just genuinely believe that if you enjoy Flesh and Blood written content, this is the spot you want to be at. This is the peak moves. This article, I started reading a little bit, is absolutely hilarious. It's just fuck Kano the article, which is so sick. Anyways, let's get right into talking about blues. Okay, I made a tier list and I have categories. But we're gonna actually give me 1 secundo. I should have probably planned this out more. But essentially, I want to get rid of the ads. Okay, yay, we're here. What's up, y'all? We're now here. I'm gonna check to make sure that my DoorDash is not sitting directly out of my house. I'm good. Okay, show. Here we go. We're gonna go into each blue. I'm gonna rate them on a scale of this 5, which is essentially a 1 to 5 scale of level of greed, which plays into how your overall greedy your blue base is. And then there's a couple of tech cards that I think are good and are greedy and not greedy dependent on meta. But this is just not their meta, but it's something you should keep in the back of your mind. I personally was looking at some of the blues that were tech pieces that I could include. And I was looking at like Nasty Surprise, and I'm like, that's like a $2 rainbow foil for like a majestic generic. I'm like, that sounds pretty good. Now that made me think of how much pitching I specifically Art of Phoenix War is. Yes, I that's what a lot of people are talking about. This is like a part of the reason I put it on the list is that like the opt for not only Art of the Phoenix War, but also Fire That Burns Within is so premium. I have not had too much experience playing with it. And obviously, I've had a lot of varied experience playing with these. Some of these are after practicing them a lot. Some of these are only a couple games of testing. Some of these are based off of like theoretically this very much so not works in the way you want it to, and blah 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 blah. And then we have Skull Tier. Oh, you got a dip? Bye bye. Nice talking to you. I think I have a guess at who you are at this point, and I'll talk to you later. But yes, I think I's pretty cool. But I'll talk about that later. We have the Skull Emoji tier. This tier is for the blues that I think are genuinely bad that people are considering playing. This usually means like I put a bunch of tech cards on here. These are the tech cards that I don't think are good, generally. And so these are all the playable fly blues. Like not the technically playable because you can play like any single pool in its card pool. But these are all the cards that I have seen in modern Fai lists that seem reasonable to play. So let's first start. We're going A to Z here. Start off with Amulet of Echoes. Actually, we might want to add a currently discussing tier, but I'm good. Amulet of Echoes. We can just move this around. It starts in the Skull tier. Okay. Amulet of Echoes is a very interesting card to play in your blue base. When you are playing this card against an Acilio who is using Gone in a Flash in the heyday, it was very powerful in mid-range decks that could stall out long enough to resolve this card. Your game plan into Acilio is rushing him down, and no amount of like powerful tech piece is going to change that. So the problem you run into with Amulet of Echoes is that you have the card, it can be good if you draw it early, but it really doesn't do much. It only, even 3 copies, a playset of it comes up like 1 in every 3 games in terms of actually wanting to use it, because especially if you're putting this in your blue spot, like other people who play Amulet of Echoes are like, I am not replacing a blue with this. This is a card I'm actively wanting to play all the time. But for Fai, you really just kind of have to replace this with you have to replace your other blues with this. And then, you know, it gets a little bit dicey that way. I think people tested it early, but I've ultimately determined through, you know, what I've talking with other people and my personal testing, I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze. I still think it's a powerful tech card if the meta will call for it, and especially since Cecilia is fading out of relevance, not good. I'm going to put it here, even though it does have fundamental problems that I'm also going to talk about with this card, but I think this card is like better than it. I think I would actually put it in the Skull category. I don't think it's good enough. I think it goes against everything you're trying to do into these, at least Acilio for now. If they do randomly print a hero that is mid-range that plays a double of these cards that gives you a lot of struggle, then maybe it'll be good. It was like a card that was good into Acilio, and it just randomly became good into a very specific type of deck. And I don't think that specific type of deck will pop up often. And even when it does, this is usually not necessary to win. Yeah, Bell is cool. I like the fact that an Amulet is viable, but it's just not viable in Fai. Arcane Compliance. I have not experienced playing with this card. This card is sick. Kano's not around. However, I do see it as a very effective hand trap into decks that plan to amp you and can create a lot of good value. Is it worth the sideboard slot? Right now, definitely not. Is it worth the sideboard slot in the future? Maybe. But I can definitely see with a specific type of wizard, and maybe even like a Acilio 1, depending on how they start like stacking up their builds, could do something. What up, Connor? Yeah. Oh, look, yeah. I have never played a Draconic Ninja, but here we are. I'm ready to learn. Yes, hello. I think that this is a specific Fai deck building thing, but I think there's a lot of things to like learn about assessing blue. So hopefully you can find some value here, or you could just enjoy the stream and have a good time. But yeah, Arcane Compliance. Maybe I have not played with this card often. I'm gonna reread the text real quick. We're gonna go on February. Arcane Compliance. Yep. Until end of turn, effects can increase arcane damage that target action card on the stack would deal. So this is just really good with Aether Flares. I don't see it being used often right now, specifically because you have to, like, why would you let the Aether Flare hit when you can just pitch this to AB to help prevent the damage anyways? It's kind of like a weird proposition, and I think this is really good into a specific type of meta. I can see it being more applicable than Bell, but I'd rather just AB, usually with this card, especially since Aether Flare is like the primary multiplicative effect right now. So, all right. We got Authority of Ataya. This will be out of the tech blue category because I don't think this is really a tech piece. I think it is a card that you run in certain matchups where you expect to see a lot of defense reactions, mainly the fatigue decks, sometimes the mid-range decks. This card goes in maximum greed, and this might spoil the Eye of Ophidia. But here's the bit. When evaluating a blue, what I've learned about Fai is that I regret something out of Draconic cards because I'm a Syndra hater, but I do really like Fai. Yeah, Fai is awesome. It just sucks that, like, for the longest time, there was, like, not a very specific reason to play him. And, like, Syndra is just so cringe. She's very boring to me. And so it sucks to see people who I think would genuinely really like Fai not want to play Draconic Ninja because they see Syndra as a superior option, and that's a community-perpetuated narrative. But talking about gems, there's a couple situations where you will see a blue pop up. It'll exist in your starting hand that you see the 4 cards in your turn. You'll see it as a random draw in the middle of your turn off of an Art of Phoenix War or a Fire That Burns Within. Or it is a random ponder off of whatever that card is. Random ponder off Phoenix Bannerman Head. 100%. It's just so cringe. Y'all get it. In the Phoenix Bannerman Head situation, you literally cannot Arsenal this card without losing the game on the spot. It's really bad there. But additionally, drawing this card randomly on your Art of the Phoenix War turn has a lot of really bad effects. Specifically because, or drawing it like in the middle of the war or the Fire That Burns With turn is really poor because if you are playing the Art of the Phoenix War, you usually have a pitch outlet, and if you and under those circumstances, you're going to have to start pitching this blue much later in the chain, and they'll probably be using their D-Reacts early anyways, so you can't even cash in the value there. And plus, if you draw it and you literally can't play it, and you're forced to, like, keep this in hand because you can't make use of the blue, then you're really in a tough spot. So I would say that Authoritaia, the juice is not worth the squeeze. However, I can see it kind of being useful. And I think the last little pin that I want to put in this is like the most maximum greed. I think this is more greed than Eye of Ophidia. Because Eye of Ophidia, when it is pitched, has value in every matchup. When Authoritaia is pitched, it doesn't have value in a lot of your matchups. And the matchups that it does have value in, the value is conditional on their turn, and you usually beat the decks that are trying to fatigue you anyways. So I don't really see a point to running this card anymore. I can see an argument to running this card under certain situations. But it is not really a tech piece. More as it is just a powerful card that is good into a good group of decks. So I'm going to put it in the maximum greed territory. I might move it down to the skull category now, but this is where we're going to put it up here for now. Authority also techs against fatigue, which is like why techs against fatigue when ours to fatigue aggro deck. Yes, absolutely. You said exactly what I was thinking. Not a 5 player, but you know so much. Let's go. Cinderskin Devotion. God, I love my Doom Draconic Fury. It's such a sick card. If you have a 0 for 3 starter, a blue, and this, you can go 0 for 3, pitch to Emberblade, Cinderskin into Phoenix Flame, and it's a 3-card 9 off a double blue hand, and just like a below rate or like an on rate starter. It's pretty good, and oftentimes I find that when I draw double blue hands, I can afford the 1 costs. And if I structure my blue base where it's not a lot of 1 cost, and this is kind of one of the few 1 costs, then you can greed on letting this be a 1 cost and not playable under certain circumstances. I think it's the case of a blue that is very safe to play with. Usually you can convert it on offense if you randomly draw it in conjunction with a double blue. It is a card that pitches for attack value, so it's good into like when you're in second cycle. The one downside with it, and it also is a blue block 3, which is very good. I forgot the gems also don't block, which is really problematic. And it's a block 3, but the one thing that's making it not too safe is the fact that it's a 1 cost. The 1 cost can steer you potentially in the wrong directions, which is not fun sometimes. However, I think there's a reason I put the 2 in front of the safe. And because I think these cards in these categories are good. They're good choices. I do not fault you for playing these, but I think they're a little too safe for my money. And the only reason I would play these cards is if I have a mix of very, very greedy cards and I need a lot of very, very safe cards to balance them out. So I'm going to put in safe for now. We're going to get to Dragon Power. This is an interesting card. I would say it can be safe or greedy depending on the deck you built around. I'm going to say for the sake of this, I am assuming you're running some amount of display loyalty, either between 2 or 3 Inflame the Firebrand, if you are picking this card. In terms of a playset, the greed can depend on the number of Dragon Powers and the number of display loyalties that you have to make this card work. I would say, let's just take it from my shell. I run 2 display loyalties now. Let's say I run 3 display loyalties. I run 3 Dragon Powers. And I run 3 Inflame the Firebrands. I would say this card is a pretty safe bet. Oh my god. Hell yeah. You get to catch it live. Well, I'm going to be streaming more often, so hopefully people can like catch my live streams more, which will be quite swell. But talking about blue Dragon Power, this is probably my favorite blue out of all the options. Simply because it's just such a fun card to play with. Bails you out of so many scenarios. Wins you games often. But I'm going to put it in safe. I'll put it in usually fine. This is like kind of the midpoint of the greed. It can get greedy depending on how many display loyalties have. But if you have enough, it's usually fine. You don't really have a problem resolving this card. But relative to Cinderskin Devotion, you have to jump a little more hoops. And then also, you have to factor in that even though this card's easy to resolve with the cards you put in, you still are greeding by adding in those crucial red cards in those red slots. So putting display loyalty in your deck in general is a little bit of a greedy choice anyways. So it moves this from safe in a vacuum to usually fine generally. Yeah, I forgot Firebrand, so 6 cards to turn it to send good enough. Yeah. I would say that just 2 display loyalties is acceptable on a playset of Dragon Power. I think that is probably the correct configuration if you want to ensure that you can usually resolve Dragon Power and you're not really flooded off with fealties over the course of your game. I could talk more about Dragon Power, and I probably will later, but for now, I'm going to put it in usually fine tier, but I think it is one of the best blues on this list. And I'm going to say, let's at the end, let's list around like 5 to 10 blues that I think are the best blues out of this category, regardless of greed or safety. Because I think this is all personal preference. You can make a very safe blue base if you want. You can make a very greedy blue base if you want. I personally lean on the idea that you should land your blue base in kind of the usually fine category as like a net neutral. And by like having slightly greedy stuff and slightly safe stuff and usually fine. But I want to really just talk about the cards individually and then have you assess which ones are your favorite. Blue Dragon Power is so cool. Reminds me every time Zen had killed me with Key Unleashed. Yeah, no, I loved playing Zen Unlimited because you would just fucking send that shit in for like a 2 for 7. It's goated. Not a starter. Are you talking about Dragon Power? In terms of like... Oh, what? Can you explain why display loyalty is greedy? Oh, okay, yeah. So, I would say display loyalty is specifically greedy because it is not a starter and it is an extender that blocks for 2. If it was a block for 3 extender, it would be way less greedy because, you know, you're always cashing in a 3 value there. But by display loyalty existing and the 2 block, it's slightly worse than a love availability. So I would say that it's also greedy because you're taking up a slot that could be taken up by potentially a better card. But for reasons that I will continue to emphasize throughout like my entire time, like talking about Fai, I think there is a 6 card dead zone of there's a 6 slots in the Fai deck that you can really put whatever cards you want in as long as they are somewhat reasonable. And I don't think there's a clear answer. I don't think you can't really you can make an argument that Inflame the Firebrand is better than Display Loyalty, but can you make an argument that Compounding Anger is better than Display Loyalty? Another blue is better than Display Loyalty? It gets a bit dubious at that point. I'm not familiar with Fai at all. What does his cost curve look like? I assume he's built function at 1 blue per hand. He is exactly built to function at 1 blue per hand. However, his cost curve gets a little funky because you are randomly drawing cards in the middle of the turn, which is why the blue base got a lot more complicated recently in terms of decision making. If he's going to have like a total of 5 cards per turn on your average Art of the Phoenix War turn, because you play out a Rise from the Ashes from Arsenal, then you activate Tunic, you pay for Art of the Phoenix War, discarding the Phoenix Flame that you got from the Rise from the Ashes, and then now you have a 5-card hand. So I would say that his cost curve and the number of blues he wants generally ranges from around 13 to 15. I've usually been a 14 truther, but lately we've been running about 12 1 costs. So I've been going up to around, 15 blues. I would say that like in mid-range Fai configurations, you run about 6 or 7 1 costs, which I think when you are not factoring in a Tunic resource is a perfect way to curve out with the deck, especially since you have stuff like Dragon Scalers to be able to deal with blue flooded hands or deal with a turn where you have an Ignite, but not a 1 cost. But I think there are too many good 1 costs in the deck that make the deck function, and thus we run 3 Art of the Phoenix Wars, 3 Spreading Flames, 3 Flame Call Awakenings, and 3 Fire That Burns Within. And we have to run all those cards to make the deck as powerful as possible, and thus we must construct the Blaze around it. And we also play Tunic, so that fits in the cost curve. Would you consider Display Loyalty as a greed inclusion if a reason for adding them is to get around Oath of Loyalty? That's actually a great point. I've talked about it a little bit before, but allowing you to run more copies of Oath of Loyalty like offsets the greed a little bit, because now you can be like, oh, I would like to play Oath of Loyalty and Rowdy Locals, and Oath of Loyalty and Warmongers, or Oath of Loyalty and Overcrowded at the end of the chain link. It's very cool. Scrolled back to my oldest Fai list I have since Fab 8. Saved in Fab 8. Prior to that, it was on FabDB. I have a blue Soulbeat Strike and a blue Flusterfist in there. Yeah, Fai back in the day was pretty homeless. Soulbeat Strike is funny, and I was thinking of talking about it, but I just don't think it's like even close to making the cut. C, thanks for the thorough answer. I'm tweaking Puffin right now, and her blue ratio has been a bit tricky to nail. Yeah, I would say in terms of blue, it's how many blues did, like, actually, I'm going to pull this up right now. Oh, shoot. Wait. Did I break the stream? No, I did not. We're back. Woo! Okay, I did not break the stream. Anyways. Let's talk about, yeah, because, like, give me 1 second. I gotta re-pull up my chat. Oh, no! I'm so stupid! Okay, Control-Shift-T. There we go. We got the live chat. There we go. Okay, I think we're back. Professional YouTuber here, Ashlyn Slattery. There we go. We're back. No! Fuck! Oh my god. Okay, we got this. It's fine. 1 second, chat room. 1 second. Let me see if I can recover this. Nope. I'm gonna have to fix this. Give me 1 second, stream. My fault, guys. Y'all just get to see me watch. It'll take me like 2 seconds. Because all I have to do is I have a list saved that has all the cards on it. And so I just literally copy paste, and it will take me like literally 5 minutes. So just give me a second. Um, wait, there's yeah. Wait, hold up. Let me show it to you. Sorry, I'm showing the dogs off for free. It's a sequin Steve Harvey pillow that one of my old friends got to me. I think Steve Harvey's a hilarious dude. I don't know if you the clip where it's like he's like thought about killing myself, and then like the answer like goes ding. It appears on the board. That's a great one. Anyways, yeah, let me go fix that because I made a Fai blue base list, so I should be able to easily copy and paste the cards. Copy image, paste image. Hopefully there's nothing incriminating in my recents. Yeah, paste image. Copy image, paste image. Copy image, paste image. Yeah. But while I'm doing this, I'll talk about like some blue ratios. Hypogeometric calculator on February is your best friend. I would assume that you've already gone in that. From our brief message, I can't tell what level of intensity you've delved into this like puffin list, but I would say that sometimes the deck wants 1 blue per hand, and sometimes your deck wants a 1.5 blue per hand, or it wants a 0.8 blue per hand. And using the hypergeometric calculator tool on February really helps out finding that exact number of blues, and can help inform your decisions. I hope that helps a little bit. I would assume that you aren't looking for help, but I like yapping, so what can I do? Boop. Copy image. Boop. Prowess of agility. Oh, I have many things to say to prowess. Sorry about this. I will get better at streaming. Trust, guys. I will not troll. Hopefully I don't miss a card in this process. Yeah. My friend Connor in the chat, ICCLT, is also playing Puffin. So if y'all need to like yep back and forth in the chat to discuss this Puffin list, by all means, please do. I've been using the one Nathan Crawford spreadsheet. Yep. That is in fact a great spreadsheet for doing that. I think it's a good starting point, and then like some slight tweaks at the end will also help. I think we're back. So let me just go here. F11. Yay! Okay, we're back. Woohoo! Yeah. No, my friend Connor has been like playing Puffin ever since release as like his secondary deck behind Ira, and he played it at Nats and was able to do too. So pretty proud of him. All right, let's go to do this. Maximum greed. We should all caps it. Maximum greed. Greedy. What was this one? It was like, it's okay. Usually. Yeah. There we go. Safe. Baby. I'm gonna put. And we can revamp the tier list now. This is great. Wait, no, swap this. Add 3 new tiers. Boop doo doo doo. Good tech blues, but not this meta. Yeah. Not this meta. And then I think we just have the skull, right? We just have the skull. Emoji. Skull. Okay. There we go. We're back to it. Sweet. A shout out from a favorite YouTuber. I should join the stream more often. Yes, you should. Yes, you should, Connor. You should watch all my content because it's really, really cool. Oh, we're back. Okay. Skull. Tech blue. I'll put... Wait. Put that here. Here. Safe. Okay, usually. And here's where we're at. Okay, cool. Yeah, Dragon Power Chick. Y'all should play that shit. Checking in on that DoorDash order. The order was complete 1 minute ago. I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. I was sad when building oh shoot, what the order? I got chicken teriyaki from Sarku, Japan. I'm a slut for teriyaki. Or it's more, yeah, it's teriyaki. Ugh. I was sad when a building marionette that the deck got better going down from, yeah. Yeah, one flue per hand just makes me happy, and like when you realize that like we could probably afford to get rid of some of these blues is a little sad because building a blue base is really fun. Okay. Yep. We got the white sauce, and we also got like the teriyaki sauce. I don't know if I mix them or I just like raw dog it. Actually, let's do peek right now. Hold up, I'm gonna move my mic over here. Boop. Boop. I usually am wearing a blanket. It's like a comfort thing. I don't know. I'm neurodivergent. What do you want from me? I'm new to Fab. What are we doing here? Hello. I am doing a review of all the possible Fai cards you can put in your blue base. That is the plan. I unfortunately messed up and we had to remake the tier list. Hopefully that won't happen again. And I ordered chicken teriyaki on DoorDash because I got $2,500 from US Nats, and I'll be damned if I have to lift a finger to get yummy food. So right now it's just food and vibing. Oh my god, look at this shit. Okay, is the game plan we also do the teriyaki sauce? Because like I didn't know I couldn't find where you could order the white sauce online. So I raw dogged did it with this teriyaki sauce, and it was actually really good. So I don't know what the plan is. Let's do a little bit of this. Like not drench it. Just like a little bit. Just to give it some nice flavor. Yep. There we go. Oh, that's that good shit. Some good ass shit, man. And then white sauce time. Isn't it funny how the blue base is the least impactful group of cards overall, but at the same time is the hardest group of cards to put together? Abso-fucking-lutely. Yeah, it's because, like, I think it's just the axis of, like, these are cards that we have to play sometimes, but most of the time we don't want to play them. And so that gets you put in really good, weird spots where, like, it changes a lot of the math on, like, how to evaluate a card. When its best function is X, but you can't always use it as its best function, which is just pitching the card. Okay. This should get covered. Also, they have this handy dandy little, like, sauce thing in their to-go things where you can just put the sauce right there. It's pretty great. It's on the floor for now. Ash got the semis and Nets to make more DoorDash. Well, I was on like the Breakpoints Discord recently because like I don't really have a testing team going into nationals, and Taylor was like, "You want to just join in, like talk?" And so I get on call and I make a poll, and I was like, "Do I DoorDash sushi or do I just like grab some food for myself?" And they all like, "Get DoorDash because you earned it." I was gonna like go out and grab something to eat. But today I actually finished up like doing all the links and the stuff for the AG article, like the finishing touches. So I didn't really have much time to like get in my car and necessarily do stuff. And like this place that I have near me, it's not that much more expensive to DoorDash it because they have like $0 delivery on orders $12 or more, and every single meal on there is like $12 or more. So, yeah. Okay, get a little mixing. Let's get this. That's really good. Okay. Now we're back to here. I'm sorry we're getting so off topic. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna go fill up my water. I'll be right back. We got water figured out now. Woohoo! We're here. Okay, I'm gonna keep talking while eating. This will hopefully not make me lose focus. All right. So, I think we fully talked about Dragon Power. Something we'll get into more later. Man, I love Fai. Man, I love food. True. True. We love food. Do I just keep doing food cam? No, I don't. We go back to face cam. Is this like good angle? Oh, yeah, it's good angle. Okay, let's talk about Epot. Epot's an interesting card. Currently discussing it. It's strange. I think the card's good. The matchups, it was tech piece of 5 from Ult, because it helped you into ice matchups. It also was great into defensive decks because they would expect the Chain Ender, and then you just follow up with this, and then they're caught with like a blocking or a defense reaction card from hand. Very good against the long grindy decks that want to run you out of threats, or the decks that are playing a very like mid-range back and forth game. This card is mainly a Victor Jarl piece. And then also has turn 0 equity in your aggro matchups. So if you're going first, you sub these in, and then you have a chance to draw one of these early, and this can be game winning to draw it. And most people don't know this. I'm going to do this just for the sake of showing it off. I like Epot, not being able to bank a blue for the next all red hand. Yes, yes. It is so good as a bailout in these very long games. But let's go to Hypergeometric Calculator. And let's say we have 3 copies of a card in deck. And we're going first, and our hand size is 4. We have an 18% chance, a 19% including 1 or more, to draw the card turn 0. I don't think people like fully realize that 1 in 4 games, if you have a turn 0 equity card, you have a 20% chance of drawing it in every game, which if like in a hyperbolic situation, if playing it equals that you win the game on the spot, then your win rate has increased like by an insane factor. By like 5 to even 10%, because if you're hitting the 20% of the games and winning, then it just increases your overall win rate. So don't underestimate turn 0 equity cards. They're very good. They're very good. Yeah, it's a 1 in 5 shot. I'm really hungry, so I'm just gonna eat for a second. But anyways, Epot is also a non-block. It's also not an attack action. It does not have go again. This is good for turn 0 equity. And it is also good. It is also fine to Arsenal off of an Art of the Phoenix War draw or a Ponder. Like, you're not happy to see it because you do have finishers in your deck. But if you really need to, you can play it from the Arsenal. I would say that this one goes in the greedy category. Because in the matchups that it's not good, it's a pretty useless no block, which does either cost you sideboard slots to play this card or cost you equity into a lot of your matchups. But this is a very powerful card into Victor, setting up a singular Epot to help facilitate, like, because sometimes you play into Victor and you get your go turn and you don't have the blue. Or you just draw a weird cost curve, and this bails you out. And it's also good into Jarl if we see Jarl upticking in presence. I know the Jarl players like figured out how to beat Victor because it's like a 62% win rate over the course of US Nats. But I think Epot goes in the greedy category. I think it asks a lot of you to be able to put it in, but it's not nearly as problematic to draw on weird turns as something like an authority attack. I take a piece once they add more ice. Yes, absolutely. Being able to, like, if you're playing against any ice-based hero as this deck, which is just Jarl, and they have like an ice-based playstyle, if you play one of these, you win the game on the spot. They really don't have any counterplay because you're permanently floating a way to get around, like a 1-for-1 trade for Blizzard. Which, like, just makes them lose the card otherwise. Alright, I have Ophidia. This is in the maximum grade category. We're just going to throw that up there. But both gems deserve to go here. Ophidia is better than Authority. It's a lot better than Authority because it's good in every matchup. Very powerful with Fire that burns with it. Very powerful with Art of the Phoenix War to be able to filter out what card you draw, which is insane utility. At the same time, it's still a gem. It still doesn't block. You still can't arsenal it. And if you can't pitch to it, you're in a really bad spot. So I tend to not like this card. And also, the greed, I guess, is like playing double duty here, where you need to be a pretty greedy motherfucker to pay $500 for a card to put in Fai that is like some people are willing to run, but most aren't. Same thing with Authority. No one's like choosing to run Authority anymore, though. But some people at the start were thinking about it. Never mind. Fai's not living long enough to see some ice. Come back. Fai gone. Heat gone. Enter Ice Age. Okay, they're reprinting Fai 2, though, and he's not going to have a hero text like Aurora. I can't wait for that. That's going to be exciting. Oh my god, this is a lot of food. Hmm. Okay. Let's do babies first blue. Lave and Loyalty goes here. I have stopped liking this card the more I've played with it. What's good about it is that it's always at least one value, regardless of the situation. Off a ponder, off of a draw. But as Matthew Gump astutely pointed out with pitch 3, discard Phoenix Flame, pick Phoenix Flame. Yep, that's what this card is. It's a 3-block thing that does that. The problem is that if you are running multiple Phoenix Flames, and Matthew Gump very astutely pointed this out in his deck tech, which I think you should very much so check out. If you draw another blue in your hand, and you draw 2 blue hands, and you're not drawing cards on your turn, if you have 2 Phoenix Flames, you can just activate Fai and cash in them for 1 guaranteed value. How much does Lavadain Loyalty come in for? 1 value as an extender. I think there are some situations where it can be really good and can prevent you from losing the games. But oftentimes it's just way too safe for my taking. And I know I ran 3 copies of it going into Nats. But upon further reflection and testing, this is the first thing I'm going to replace when I find like a tech blue I like filling out that slot. Where's Call to the Grave? I considered putting it in. It's not it, Chief. It's not it. I heard the tech of getting an action point from Damian Riggins, who was like, Ashton, you got to run Call to the Grave because you can get the back alley break line, and then that gives you 2 action points, so you can bail yourself out of a no-starter hand. You're like, Damian, I can just activate 5 on my opponent's turn, and then I'm bailed out. Like, it's a whole bit. Now, we're getting into Mounting Anger. It's in the same category as Cinderskin. For how unsafe it becomes from being not a block 3, it makes up for in the fact that it's a starter. And then also, it's like the same level of safety, but it does have the upside of like, if you allow this to hit, it's a 1-for-3 in a blue. That triggers Shuko, so sometimes a 1-for-4. The more I think about this card, the more I want to put it back in my Fai deck over something like a Rise from the Ashes. But I think the problem you run into is like, this is like the situation. I don't think you can run these two cards together. Because if you have too many 1-cost blues, you get into it like, for example, if you draw a 0-cost and 1-cost blue, if you need your blue to cost 0, you can play the 0-cost blue. If you show with your blue being 1-cost, you can play the 1-cost blue. But if everything's a 1-cost, you don't really get that modality in the case of like things going really bad. It's kind of a simulation is how we get the Shin Fai list. You two both have such strong cases for your different cards. Yeah, I'm like super pumped because Matthew and I have a lot of similarities in our deck. However, our biggest difference is our blue base. And so I think this is one of the most interesting topics because I think both of ours were successful for different reasons. You could see Matthew Gump relying on blues to do well in his games. Like he plays a truce turn 0 against Colin Erickson. And then he gets punished when he draws an all blue hand later. You can see the benefits and the drawbacks of it in real time. And in my game versus Aaron Grace, where I was drawing just multiple blue hands, I was still able to convert and win the games. So you both got to see the pros and cons of different styles. And I think, truthfully, the optimal is somewhere in the middle. But right now, I'm going to say that it's mostly personal preference. Kind of, make it a 15 blue. You're thinking of adding BM Mounting Anger Trust. Yeah, I really like this card. I think it's very good. But if you ask me, would I rather have Cinder Skin and Rise from the Ashes or Mounting Anger and what's it called? And Mounting Anger or Lava Vein Loyalty? I'm taking Cinder Skin Rise from the Ashes, dog. I'm even taking like Cinder Skin Cinder Skin Rising Resentment Blue over that. I think it's not specifically that Cinder Skin's good. It's just that the what you want in the Cinder Skin slot is exactly Cinder Skin, and thus it informs your other decisions in your blue base. Nasty Surprise. Good tech card, but not this meta. There is a lot of disruption that requires you to banish, or is this like put in the graveyard? I think it's, yeah, it's in the graveyard. The problem is that like if you're dealing with a lot of disruption that's graveyard based and puts it in the graveyard, you're chilling. But when you're looking at like Vincent and these assassins, they're all putting shit in the banish zone. So I can definitely see a meta where this is really strong. It also is a 0 for 2 that triggers Shuko. It's like automatically very good. It's like a tech piece that's very good into a specific meta. But at the minimum, it's a blue block 3 that comes in for 2. So it has to be really good. So if there's like a matchup where like you are commonly getting cards discarded from hand and you want to like swing that matchup a little bit, this is a very low commitment tech piece that's like pretty safe. But it's just not its time, so I'm not going to rate it. Because how safe it is largely in context of the meta around it and how much you get punished for playing the card. Ugh. Okay. Overcrowded. Cinema. This card's really good. It's a tech piece. It's kind of silver bullety. But it also is super chill in a lot of matchups, you know? Overcrowded just has the benefit of if you draw a lot of blues on an Art of the Phoenix War or a Fire That Burns Within turn, and you can't make use of the second one, and it's an overcrowded, you just tuck that bad boy in Arsenal, and you get minimum 2 value on defense, sometimes 3 value with fealty, sometimes 4 or even 5 value off of like other tokens. This card is actually very relatively safe in the Fai deck, which I love so much. They made everything new banish stuff to get around Remembrance, instead of just being Remembrance. Abso-fucking-lutely. Fuck Remembrance. I hope it gets banned. I hate cards like that just require you to be like, yes, we both have to run through copies of Remembrance because it's arm race. Anyways. Overcrowded, I used to think was not a safe card, but if you're running fealties, it's a lot more safe. And even if you're not, it's still a very reasonable card to have and play. The one downside is if you don't have a fealty or some kind of token maker, it's not a block 3. But this card in its good spots has saved me in games. I had like a game against Mario where I had a fealty. And my opponent played Codex, and I had this card in hand. And instead of, like, I didn't have it in the graveyard, but I natty drawed it. And so my overcrowded blocked for 5, and they came in with a Hunter's Glaive that they front pumped for 5 into a Leave No. So I played the Hunter's Glaive for I blocked and prevented them from marking me for the rest of the turn by playing the blocking with the Overcrowded, and then I was able to cover up the Leave No and swing the game from there. Very powerful card. Sometimes will just randomly win you the game. I think it's great as a 1 of. As a 2 of, that's great. That's a little bit greedy. But from my perspective, I think it should be a 1 of, if even if you're using fealties in your list. So I would say it's pretty safe for a tech blue, which means it's really good. Just having multiples of them are really bad. You should really only have 1, maybe 2. I go to Overcrowded. Yeah, instead of any, yep. Thank you for the clarification, for reading the message. Just make sure I understand what you're saying loud and clear. Pilfer the Tomb. Talk about this. Great card. It's very potent into Gravy. Because oftentimes Gravy against Fai, because you clear the ally literally every turn. On average, Gravy's going to have 1 ally in graveyard per turn. Sometimes even more. And even if he has multiple, he usually doesn't have multiple of the same one, so you can snipe the one that they're playing their cost curve around. This card is extremely powerful and is good in as an aggro deck to deal with Gravy. Like, because of the fact that, like, if the game's going short, you can really just turn off their ally. This can sometimes convert for like 6, 7, 8, 9 value, depending on the ally, that maybe even 10 if it's like a chum. The amount of value you deny with this card is absolutely ridiculous under the right circumstances. And here's the Ashland butt. But it doesn't block. And it's a blue. So sometimes you have to choose between your turn curving out well and playing the blue. Thank you so much for the subscription, Matthew Gump. Appreciate it. Yay! Someone subscribed so I could get the alert blocks to do its thing, which is very fun. But thank you for subscribing. We're talking about blues. We love blues. And I'm eating hibachi or teriyaki. I forget which one it is. This card's good. Problem is it doesn't block. And if you want to deal with Gravy, just freaking 1 Warmongers. Like, Warmongers just does what this does, but usually better. This has, but like, Warmongers has utility into, like, Kasai and Vincent and, like, all these, like, really good decks. This is only good into 1 deck that you already beat, and that's the problem. This is not something that's swinging a matchup in your favor, so you need to include it. It's a thing that makes a, like, 60 to 65%er into, like, a 75%er. It feels not really necessary. So, I don't think it's the meta for this, even though it's the only meta where it exists in. However, there is a lot of upside to playing this card. Like, you are getting a lot of value by playing this card. It's just, is it worth the slot? So I would say that it goes in the greed category. I would say it goes even maximum greed. Because you're choosing to pick this card specifically to counter Gravy. You're going to need to run the 3 of into that matchup because that matchup's supposed to go quick. And then it also doesn't block for anything. It's a good card. But it's a very greedy card to include. It's especially taxing on your sideboard slots. Yep. Absolutely. I know. I didn't run Warmongers for my event because the random draws are bad. But I do think Marlon's going to creep up, and I think locking down the Gravy matchup sounds like a good idea. And also, like, Warmongers is a good card, but I just ultimately decided to keep my blue base safe because I wasn't sure if the juice was worth the squeeze. Now I'm pretty sure the juice is worth the squeeze, so I'm going to include it instead of Lava Vein Loyalty. Your greed is misplaced. Oh, wait. Oh, gosh. If, like, I could add that tier. Yeah. Yeah, let me add that, actually. Your greed is misplaced. I'm gonna do, like, purple. Oh, this is this one. Add row below. This is a great idea. This will help me a lot. Yeah. Unironically in the chat. Yo, what's up, Dad? My father is here. The man who birthed me is watching something that he has no idea what's going on. Should the greed is misplaced. I think this goes above everything else. Your greed is misplaced. Yeah, this is the perfect for authority. I think this is the perfect tier for these two. For sure. That was a great idea. And we have enough room to fit it. Teriyaki. Also, Dad, side note, I've been watching Outlast the Jungle more. It's really good. After the stream is done, I'm going to probably try to finish the season because I'm on like episode 4 or 5. It's been really good. For anyone who doesn't know, it's like a survival game show where there's a lot of backstabbing. It's not Survivor. It's a very different game from Survivor, but it has similar elements. You're loving prowess of agility. I was actually I'm gonna talk about. Let's talk about this because this is one I have to talk about a lot. Prowess is a very powerful card in very specific spots. Those spots being when you're playing against a deck with Arsenal Disruption, but you still want offensive overlap. Think of Gravy. Think of like Verdance or Florian back into the day. It's good when you're into a deck that wants to block you out, but can't consistently disrupt you to put you off of the prowess and put you in, like, make it so you can't play enough chains to keep it around. It's good for turn 0 equity. However, we have to put an asterisk in the turn 0 equity. Because although 1/5 of the time you're going to draw this in your first hands, or your first turn of the game, there's an issue. You need a very specific type of hand to resolve this on turn 0 and get an arsenal. And usually, an arsenal is more value than the prowess of agility. And so you need a 0 for 3 or 0 for 4 starter, a 0 cost starter. You need a blue and a blue. In addition to... Thank you so much for the description, Fluid. Appreciate it. You get the cat marching band. Congratulations. But back to what I was saying about prowess. In the situations where you're drawing at turn 0, you need another blue in addition to it, and you need a 0 cost. Or you need a 0 cost starter and ignite to be able to play 3 chain links out, resolve this, and then have it not disappear at the start of the turn, and also get an arsenal. So the turn 0 equity is a lot less than people want to give credit for prowess. I think this card is good. It also has bad problems into Warmongers, where you can't play this after Warmongers. Into Fatigue decks, it's very good, but it's kind of a win more card. I really like this card. I think its primary use is when the meta is filled with decks with Arsenal Disruption, but you still need to have reasonable offensive overlap to win the game. This card is very powerful when Florian, Verdance, and Gravy were in the meta. I actually preferred this over the alternatives in those metas. I thought it was so incredibly strong. But now, I don't feel the same way. Hello, Dagnir. Welcome back from the last stream. We're here doing the Blue Bay stuff, and I got food that I DoorDashed that I'm currently eating. That was very yummy. But my feelings on this card is that it's very good. If you run it, I understand. But its floor is literally 0 value if they disrupt you or you aren't able to like find a turn to make use of it before it disappears. And its ceiling is another card, which could be like a red or something else. Or on a pop-up turn, it could be worth like 4 or 5. Sometimes 6 value. And there is like the little utility of, you know, extra card but no arsenal. But I think truthfully, the range is just too much for me. The anti-synergy with Warmongers. It's not an attack action that I can play on like an Art of the Phoenix War turn. I think the card is good. I think it is okay usually. I think this is the category you want to put this in. It's like similar to Dragon Power in terms of how like scary it is to actually play. But I prefer Dragon Power. They're not in the same slots though. I'll get to what this card competes for always in the slots for my list when I get to that card. Rip Away is Maximum Greed. Maximum Greed for me is usually defined by it is pretty good into a specific 1, 2, or 3 matchups in a very specific spot, but it requires you to give up a lot to make it work, and it is also absolutely terrible if you draw it off of the Art of the Phoenix War turn or ponder it. I think Rip Away is the perfect example of that. Into Vincent, God, it can do so much work, eclipsing their value. Into Victor, it can turn off a gold main estate early in the game. It can like prevent Victor from drawing a card when you discard it. But you also have to factor in the fact that you're losing a card in general to be able to do it. And then the value math is not as good. It's a blue block 3, I get it. But like, imagine drawing this off Art of the Phoenix War. You cannot play it. You have to commit your other blue in your hand to be able to play this, which usually spells disaster for you in general. It is not good. So I personally think it's a very Maximum Greed thing. It's pretty good, but not good enough to warrant the drawback of being really bad off the random draws. Yeah, Victor's gone soon. Yeah, I was gonna say, what would you play instead of Prowess? And I'd admit it's probably a little greedy, but turning it into another card when you're comboing off just seems so chef's kiss. It is so chef's kiss. I've been there. I've been in the trenches playing this card. I was actually, if you look back at Dando's Hunted Fai list, he replaces Warmongers with this card and says, Ashton was on Prowess. I was very impressed by this card. I was like an original Prowess truther. Like, it was in my like original Fai list. But unfortunately, as more blues have been added into the game and like as our blue base has commanded different needs, I just think it's fallen a little bit out of favor. It certainly feels really good when it goes off, but it feels to me, at least for now, a Win-More card. And I'm very anti-Win-More cards. I don't like Rake Over the Coals. I used to really like it. Unironically, I took Rake Over, like, I'm like Rake Over the Coals' mother a little bit. I took Rake Over the Coals into being a discussion, into being a card that people think to play in Fai. And then now I'm taking it out of it. Now I'm like, fuck this thing. I birthed you into this world, I'm going to take you out of it, okay? But Rake, I think, is bad in modern builds because it's not a chain link. And it's a very Win-More card. If you draw into a hand where Rake gets you like 5 or 6 value, you're probably already winning the game at that point. And just getting like another 0 for 3 provides you like 4 value and insulates yourself into other stuff. It's like, Rake doesn't feel too particularly good to me. Loki hate Rake Over the Coals, not gonna lie. Yeah, I don't like it as a 1 of, even as a 2 of. But you're on all those Inflames. I am on 2. If you're on 3 Inflames, Rake is a justifiable card because you have Inflames, you have Flame Calls, and you have Blaze Headlongs that all turn into starters from Rake. And so Rake can actually, even though it's not a Draconic Chain Link, it can sometimes bail you out of having no starter, so it has the utility there. And Inflame provides 2 chain links for Rake, so it's better with Anthem effects. I just think 3 Inflames is not really where you want to be. And the only time I'd consider Rake is if I was on 3 Inflames. Rake sucks. I'm glad people agree. Classic Ash propaganda. Yes! You are not allowed to play Rake. You're not allowed to play Rowdy Locals. Or not Rowdy Locals. Prowess of Agility. You're not allowed. Do not pay $500 into that Eye of Ophidia. So that I can buy it, tee. But anyways. I think Prowess is good. And if you pick Prowess, and you're like, I really like Prowess, and I like Prowess for XYZ reasons, I will say, I completely understand, and you might be right. But at least for my take, and how I played with the card, it's not my thing. Blue Rise from the Ashes. Now, I had to convince a lot of people that this was a good card. Matthew Gump, when he was talking about my list, or he asked me questions about my list when we were like exchanging talks. Blue Rise from the Ashes is one of the things that he brought up because oftentimes You're using this to pair with Art of the Phoenix War. And if you want to get the Phoenix Flame anyways, why don't you just activate Fai? You do lose the 1 value, but, like, this thing blocks for 2. It has, like, only utility is grabbing the Phoenix Flame. We do got a BNR on Monday. Holy shit, I forgot about that. Scratch all this out, they're gonna, like, ban fucking Overcrowded or some bullshit, and then it's over for me. But I'm excited. I will admit that I just made the list with AOA. I'm trying to get the abbreviation. AOA before? You're gonna have to, like, what's it called? Move that shit out. Oh, sorry, you have to expand on your acronym because I don't know what it is. Even though I probably should. Anyways. Authority of a tie. Yes. I have submitted a Dex with authority. I am also I used to be a greed monster, and I was a greed monster when, or as I was like I was semi greeder when, like, Fai was in his heyday. Not his heyday, but when he was, like, not drawing random cards throughout the turn. I also banned Epop because Ashland did the video SMH my head. My bad, yo. My bad. Well, that makes me feel less bad about, like, accidentally selling my cold foil energy potion. But yeah, back to Blue Rise from the Ashes. This card is a 0-for-1 starter in a pinch. It's a Rising Resentment in a pinch. It is sometimes 3 value off of Shuko, plus if you have 2 Flames in Graveyard. It's a 0-for-3 go again. It's a front pump to create beg points. But more so than any of that, it's arsenalable. If you draw up a hand and you draw 2 blues, it is sometimes a really good idea to arsenal this, because despite the fact that, like, what's supposed to happen? Despite the fact that it's 2 less damage, this has the same utility that you want as a Rise from the Ashes blue on the Art of the Phoenix War turn. It gets you that Phoenix Flame at the start. It gives the buff, even though it's not as much. The utility it has to enabling your combo does not change depending on the color. And so the fact that it's arsenalable, and it is consistently 1 damage over activating Fai on your opponent's turn, it's like 1 damage does matter in a lot of games. It makes me more willing to, like, play this card. It's also, you know, it's not good off the random draw because it's a non-attack action that in order to get value out of, you have to close the chain and then play the card. But it's very reasonable. And I didn't run into too many issues when it came to Oath of Loyalty playing with this card, because if you know the playlines and tricks, you can really, like, know how to play around drawing this card in conjunction with Oath of Loyalty. And with Warmongers, I usually can just pitch Fai to activate my shit on my opponent's turn. And if I'm running Warmongers in the sideboard and subbing it in, I usually sub it in for this card. There's another card that doubled in price low. Wait, let me check that. Overcrowded. TCG player. Oh, yeah. That is increasing. Why is the rainbow foil less than the regular, the normal foil? I should turn the filters on so I can see better. Oh yeah, it's 33. Yeah, I have a rainbow foil. I have the extended art cold foil of it. I won one a while ago. I sold it and exchanged it a 1-for-1 for another Overcrowded because I didn't really care for the bling because I was not currently playing in my Fai list. I regretted that, and then I eventually, like, repurchased one. So I have the cold foil EA Overcrowded, and I'm pretty happy that I got it eventually. Blue Rise from the Ashes is baby's first blue. It is safe. I love it. You want to pick these cards. You're pissed. Connor Fatcock. You are pissed. I wonder whose account this is. I don't know. But I hope your Fatcock pleases you. Sorry, that sounded really wrong, but, like, I just don't really know how to operate around profanities in your name. Have fun with that, though, bud. What are you mad about? Talk to me. I know that's not you, Connor. I know that's not you. I know that's probably Daniel or Jackie just like fucking with you. Honestly, I wouldn't put it past Emma. If Emma knew about Connor Fatcock, that bit, I think Emma would make an alternative account to try to fuck with you. Anyways. But yeah, Blue Stripes from the Ashes, very solid card. Oh, we were talking about Blue Rising Resentment. This is is a baby card. I love this card. I played it a lot. We loved running Blue Brand with Cinderclaw. This can also have the additional utility of banishing a 1 cost, but if you have the blue in hand anyways, like, you're not really getting too much utility out of it. I like it as a starter, but truthfully, it's most of the time it's just worse Blue Rise from the Ashes. And so this is occupying the same Rise from the Ashes slot, so I end up just not running it. Okay. Chatters, if you have Blue Rising Resentment in your list, place it with Blue Rise from the Ashes. For real, trust. I genuinely believe that's the way. I believe that's the way you should go. Because the majority of time, it's just better version of it. Yeah, I sometimes make deck building decisions when I don't have the cards, and so I totally feel you about the Blue Rise and the Ashes stuff. That fucking blows. I know this is like a smaller case, but I didn't run now I'm saying this. I'm like fully saying this. I ran 2 Cinderskin, 3 Lava Vein Loyalty only because I didn't have the 3rd Rainbow Foil Cinderskin. That's genuinely the reason. It wasn't the full reason, but it was a big part of why I chose to do it, because I didn't want to I want to have as little of my deck as non-foil as possible. So, yeah. I gotta find, like, the 3rd copy of the foil Doom Fury. I'm not sure if you answer this or not in your AG article or whatever, but where do you think Fai's position goes when Victor and potentially Prism LL? Okay, I did talk about this a little bit on the AG article, but I didn't go particularly too in depth. I'll just say the basic. I think if only Victor leaves, I think Fai actually goes down in representation, because your main boon right now over Syndra is that you do have a good game plan into Victor to beat him, like, somewhat reasonably. And so Syndra might slick back in the meta a little bit more and have more meta relevance, but I still think Fai's in a really good spot. I think the problem is that the meta is very centralized around Victor right now. And I think the fact that Mario dropped off and then Victor soon after, maybe Gravy drops off and then inversely Syndra, I just think Victor leaving is so much of a shakeup that I really can't predict the future meta. And then when Prism LLs, the only thing that'll change is that we don't have to run into that random deck that pretty much beats us all the time. Like, genuinely, Prism LL, because she's not like a central force of the meta, doesn't shake the meta up enough to do anything, and it just removes one of our bad matchups. So my ideal is actually Prism LL Victor stays going into Pro Tour. I hope that happens. We got very close in that finals game. I think it was like in New Zealand Nats, but it didn't happen. Connor Fedcock, do you think Max has a place in this meta? I do. I think you got like a 50%er into Gravy, maybe even better. Your Victim matcher is like slightly unfavored, but if you pitch stack and play it right, you can win. You're not feeling too good into Syndra because you don't have reactions, but you still have game plan in its hair. Jarl's not super represented. I think what's your gonna, and also like the spell Cilio variants of a Cilio, you're actually quite good into, because you have the Embryo base head. I don't know if you've seen this one, Daniel, which I assume that's you, Daniel, because you're asking about the Max question. Embryo base head is the one that has AB1 and says, if you would take arcane damage from a source someone controls, you can put a counter off of a Hyperdriver to prevent 1 damage. So essentially you can get like an AB2 on your headpiece that doesn't cost 2, and that with what was it? The boots, I'm trying to remember what the boots are. Achilles Accelerator. You actually like prevent Aether Flails from doing damage, and you just aggro race him. It's pretty cool. He is really carried by road deck variants, but I'm interested in what he can do in this format. Yeah, I think in the current format, Max actually has more of a place, because I think Mario was the big bad holding him back. because like T-Tox made it so that even if you got in the mech, you're not guaranteed to win like you usually are in most other matchups. And like I think I talked to you about this, Daniel, I mean Government Fedcock, or Connor Fedcock. But essentially, I from my personal perspective, like from what I saw, there was a max that was actually 8-3 at one point going into Nats. And did have like a legitimate shot at the top 8, but unfortunately lost about halfway through day 2. And so I do think Max unironically has like, I don't think he's like D tier. I think he's like high C tier, low B tier. I think people are underestimating him, and that's going to give you a lot of equity. But I think he has very reasonable play into a lot of the matchups, which is why like if Fai like gets banned somehow before Worlds, I probably would feel pretty comfortable playing Max. Yeah, T-Tox, so annoying with Max because you can only like block a singular time before you're like running the risk of getting T-Toxed when you use like block with your mech. I agree. I think that should be the ban. But like Mario already got like yeeted into oblivion, so we're not as worried about them anymore. We need to give Max a Galvanic Bender that gives him AB while under the permanent. I agree. I think there should be... Yes, I think there should be a version of Galvanic Bender that gives him AB. And I think there should be another version of Galvanic Bender that, when this is under a permanent, if this permanent would be destroyed, instead remove this. I think giving Max a suite of arms to interchange depending on the matchup really like gives Max a lot of equity and gives him a chance to actually fight into like, for example, like he's still bad into Puffin and Jarl, obviously, because if they can kill one of his equipment before he gets in the mech, he can't do anything about it. But once you get in the mech, now you kind of got that blanket of security. So he still has that weakness of losing his armor, but he's able to like not like get his whole entire game plan fucked once he pops into the mech. And then also I think the AB is like pretty good, and I think AB 1's like a reasonable thing to have. Yeah, but I also think Marionette is a good spot, but they still get away with some bullshit. Agreed. That deck is bullshit. What's next? Rowdy Locals. This goes in the safe category. This was the card that I said you should replace Prowess with. I think they're both non-draconic things that act as finishers that do very different things, but kind of like have similar ideas. Where they are Chen Edgers that sometimes just go above rate. Rowdy Locals is at its base a 2 damage attack with 3 block. But when you're playing against an opponent with a lot of actions, like for example, a Spellcilio, if you get them low, this can just be literally like a Lava Burst worth of value on a blue, which is very powerful. Even if you can't get the Lava Burst value, if you swing this into your opponent and you still have Fai activation floating, if they take it, the trigger goes on the stack and you can activate Fire in response, and then you discard and they discard. It's kind of like an E-Strike-esque effect where you're turning Phoenix Flame into effectively like an E-Strike with a value, but the only thing you give up, you don't actually like have to bottom the flame and like put it back in your deck. It still goes back into your graveyard. And then also when you play like Rowdy Locals before, when you ran like 1 Phoenix Flame, was good, but it got better with multiple flames because if for some reason, if you play your turn around to float a Fai activation and you don't have an arsenal, if your opponent blocks it out, you can activate Fai, arsenal the Phoenix Flame. And if you already have another flame in arsenal, then you're not even losing out on your Fai activation on the next turn. So you can bank that 1 value in for later, so it's not like you even lost it on the turn, which is really sweet. Victim by Prism, LLing still leaves in set. Dio, Prob Marlin, and then Kasai Dorinthia will be left post Master Pack Warrior. That's not terrible, but still tough. I would say Vincent is a lot better than you might think it is if you use Tide Flippers or Boots of Ominous Ward plus double cross trap in conjunction. A being with blues and playing a mid-range game usually has gotten me to around a 45 to a 55% win rate to her. It's not super consistent, namely because it involves your Vincent opponent bricking at some point in the game, or maybe drawing a less than ideal turn, or playing an off turn to try to get around your mid-range capabilities. But usually I don't have the worst time in a Vincent. Unless you start sideboarding in more inverted existence, and then it gets hard. Dio's tough, but I want to do some work into Dio because, you know, mid-range might be possible. And then Marlin just fucking sucks. But it's a lot more playable with Warmongers. I don't know how to feel about Kasai. I feel pretty good into Kasai right now. But Dorinthia just fucking sucks so much dick. It's one of the worst matchups you can play against. There's no real good plan. Mid-range is like okay, but you usually still lose. And aggro's, you usually lose anyways. It's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't. But back to Rowdy. I think I said most of my piece on this card. It's just a solid card. Its minimum value is its 2, sometimes 3 triggering Shuko. And that's what you gotta really consider with most of these 2 or less utility blues, is that they're coming in for 1 more value usually because they're triggering Shuko often. And especially you're trying to play this in the smaller hands. I definitely do not mind ending my turn with this as like a finisher. Especially if I draw like a card that I can't really play on my like super big pop-off turn. And plus, it's really fun on Anthem turns because you can make it Draconic with Fealty or Inflame the Firebrand. I think, like, for me, Rowdy is just solid, like, great into aggro decks, great into decks where, great into late game scenarios where you really need to close out games, but you draw kind of like a double blue clunky hand. And then every other time, it's, like, completely fine. It's like a Soul Bead Strike without the on-hit go again, which is totally fine because we don't run too many finishes in our deck nowadays. So I think it's like, it has the capacity to go as high as prowess, but it's not nearly hit the lows of prowess. My armory on Monday was Vin by. Got to go home and watch World Cup. Yay. Yeah, I think Vincent is a tough matchup to navigate, and it takes a lot of time and patience, and it can be very frustrating to play still. I've been A-being good Vincents are still OOT Water Temple levels of headache to deal with. Agreed. It's still an annoying ass matchup, but you can still turn it in your like it's an annoying ass matchup that you don't have agency in besides the cards you pick at the start and the game plan you come in within. I like dual main Kasai and Fai. I think it's close to 50-50 right now. But if either of them had the edge, it's definitely Kasai in my opinion. Okay, I'm done talking about matchups. Where's the Soul Bead Strike? My bad. We got too many new blues. Sapphire Amulet. I have not tested with this card. It goes in Greed is misplaced. +1 Intellect is sick. It's a cool card. It doesn't have go again. It takes up your action point on the turn you play it, and it takes up the action point on the turn that you activate it. So even though it seems really good into like a matchup like Victor, where you try to want to get a 5-card hand, you also can't choose when to get that 5th card. Sometimes you don't need the 5th card. And so like under certain circumstances, this card is really powerful, but most of the time it's just not what you want it to be. And not blocking is a very big punish. But I've seen some Fais test and try to run this card. Blue Snatch, I put this as an oldie but goodie. This is like the old Fai representation. This is skull emoji. It's bad. I'm sorry. I know people want it, but low-key they just put a 3-block in front of this and you're cooked. Maybe it's good into gravy. I don't know. Like, but it's a 2-block non-draconic that swings for 2. 2-block is a very big cost, especially in this type of deck that I tend to run, because if you're mid-ranging, you really can't afford to have a lot of your blues be block 2. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, maybe Snatch is kind of peak. Blue Snatch, that I can test it, but like, I have so many other really powerful good cards that are way easier to utilize over Snatch. So I think it's like good, but it just gets eked out over the course of time. This round's on me is funny. It adds to more random draws on your turn. I think it's maximum greed. I think it's reasonable though. If you're playing into an aggro mirror and you play this on turn 0, God, if you're playing into Fai mirror, this shit's amazing into it. And if you expect to see a lot of Fais or Syndras, this might be worth the pickup. It also blocks 3, so it has the utility of that. I just need to test this card more. This is truthfully in like I need to test more category, but even though I don't need to test it more, it's still maximum greed because it's really bad if you draw it on the Art of the Phoenix War turn. Because then you're also adding another draw random card. It's like, it's reasonable, but I think actually I would probably put it in the greed category. It's not as bad as Eye or Ripple Away. Maybe it is. I don't know. It's a blue black 3. You kind of don't want to arsenal it, but it's like fine to arsenal because you can like pitch a blue to play it. You draw the card and then you can like play out the rest of your turn from there. I'm gonna put it in greedy, but not maximum greed. I just need to test it more. Truce is maximum greed. It is turn 0 equity. It is turn 0 equity that is guaranteed, unlike prowess. But my god, do I absolutely, by no fucking means, want to draw this on my Art of the Phoenix War turn or on a Ponder. The 2 cost is a big problem with this one. If you could just play it as like a 0 cost chain ender, it would be crazy. You of course run this. But for me, it's just a little too much. And this is like, these are the 2 blues in Matthew Gump's list that I'm like, I'm not willing to run these because these are too greedy. I think they go a little too far. Just because they're too situational. And this can obviously win games of aggro mirrors. I'm not saying this isn't powerful. But I think you can have very powerful turn 0 equity cards like Epot, sometimes Prowess, sometimes other things. I think Epot and Prowess are both better for turn 0 equity into certain matchups that come at a lot less of a risk. So I feel like if I want to do something similar to this, I would probably go for Prowess first, then Epot. The Epot Greeters will have Truce. Absolutely. They will, and that's okay. Like, I want this to be proved wrong. I know Omar really likes this card, and I've had some nice conversations with him about Fai, but truthfully, I just think it's a little too greedy, so I avoid it. Fai question. Now that you've convinced everyone to start playing Fai, at what point do you consider sideboard Gauntlet for the mirror? You never do that. Sorry, that was a little harsh. I get the idea of Stonewall Gauntlet being good. Actually, if you want to know more about how to play around Stonewall Gauntlet as a Fai player, I have a paragraph in the AG Fight article talking about it because I'm talking about potential counters to Fai in the future. So I would recommend checking that out and looking that through. And then if you have any questions about that, you can ask me more. The problem with Stonewall at its fundamental base against decks like Fai is if they draw 2 starters and you block with it on the first chain link, it only gets 2 value. And it completely gets fucked and there's nothing you can do. If they have 1 starter and you greed, you can sometimes get like 8 value. And then it's really amazing. But most of the time, if you're a good player, what you want to do is put it on the like 2nd or 3rd chain when they've already kind of committed a few cards. And then that's when you really start getting the value on it overall. However, Tiger Stripe Shuko in this deck, you're always triggering it on nearly every turn. There's just a lot more to base attacks in your deck. So the increment of value from Shuko over the course of like, let's say it's probably going to get you 3 or 4 value from its ability over the course of a aggro mirror, a Fai aggro mirror. And then it also gets the 2 block. So it's around 6 value. Stonewall Gauntlet can be higher in capacity than that. And that might be a reason to run it. But Stonewall also has a lot of that variance and your opponent can play around it particularly well. You want it on the 2nd link, I thought. Usually you do. Yeah, most of the time, your opponent will play it on the 2nd link. And even then, you can still punish them because you just have so many chain links. It's weird. I have to play against the card more, but my initial impressions are, it is good, but not amazing as people once hoped. Taylor, are you telling me about 3 Epots and I wasn't correct? Important to note, Taylor, this is not is this card good or bad? This is not what we're here to determine today, whether our card's good or bad. I will talk whether I think it is good or bad while I talk about the card. I mentioned that I love Epot, and I think I is a very smart call out, but it is very greedy. This is all just about greediness, and hopefully by looking at this kind of like 1 to 5 scale over here, you can kind of inform and be like, I want to take a little bit things from the safe category, a little bit of things to the greed, because I think if you're too safe, it's bad. I think if you're too greedy, it can also be bad. And I think you want to kind of balance it out. And I'm just allowing people to like see kind of the level of greed each blue has so they can like pick and choose what they want. Yeah, Zen was the main reason I first thought about Truce. Truce plus Loyalty Beyond the Grave trying to turn Fai into sort of Draconic Zen into aggro matchups. Yeah, I fucking love Loyalty Beyond the Grave. And I think the like kind of semi-mid-range like Ninja is really cool. That's why I'm glad I can play in the mid-range matchups. But yeah, no, I don't know how viable it is. But yeah, no, I genuinely think 3 Epots, I-50 is a cool shout. I think it's good. If you're on like a turbo combo Fai and you want crazy turn 0 equity and you're willing to give, like, here's what I'm saying. If you are playing a only combo Fai and you don't have a mid-range switchboard, I genuinely think it's correct to maximum greed at every single point in the list. It doesn't make any sense not to. You're never blocking anyways. The 0 block in the bottom right corner doesn't matter. So I genuinely believe, Taylor, that you had the correct sauce on a pure combo 5. With 3 EPOT and like one Aviphidia, just to make sure that your combo can go absolutely ludicrous crazy. Now we get on to Warmongers. Is this going to go in the greed category? It would be usually okay because of how powerful it is. But I don't want to see this off a random draw into matches where I don't like it. And it does really have 0 value in the matchups it's not good into. I need you to think and be in your mind pause here. The most powerful thing you can do on Fai is play Rise from the Ashes into Art of the Phoenix War. Warmongers prevents you from doing your most powerful play line. It's as simple as that. Oftentimes, you are intentionally playing the game in a way. Rise from the Ashes is your most important arsenal target. And so when you have a card like Warmongers that can prevent you from playing out the Rise from the Ashes, it can be a little bit dicey, especially with stuff like Phoenix Bannerman Head. This could even punish you for running EPOTs or Prowess of Agility. It has a knock-on effect. I don't think it's nearly as greedy as Truce or Ivaphidia or Ripple Away because it is so powerful. I think it is so inherently powerful that you're so fine with playing it, and it's also a block 3. And like it's a 2 cost. It's not a 2 cost. So in matchups where you don't even want to play it, usually you can still play it just to get rid of it, and it could randomly snipe something out of your opponent's deck. Like, I think it's like the most close to maximum greed you can be. But I do really think the card is very powerful, especially now with Gravy, Kasai, and Vincent floating around. This card sometimes just auto wins you games. And it's I think when I was going and doing my testing, I didn't really find that it was worth it because the random draws kept punishing me and it didn't really feel good. But now that I've like seen Matthew Gump run the card and I've had some time to reflect, I do think it's really good. And you think you should be playing this card. Fai didn't get any cards since Pen, but back then he wasn't performing at all. Meta seems to be the same. Why is he doing well now? I don't get it. Meta was similar, but the main difference you have to look at is Acilio. Actually, the meta is a lot different because the meta was dominated by Victor and Mario, and going into this weekend or Nats weekend, people thought it was still going to be Victor Mario, but the context around the meta was very different because, because what happened was Acilio was the third deck on the triangle. Original Acilio 1. And Acilio 1 stayed pretty good even through the thing. But ignoring that, essentially that card got yeeted out of existence. That deck got yeeted out of existence from like people's minds. And so because Acilio is out and Victor and Mario were like prevalent decks, Gravy got to slide in. And you know what happens when Gravy slides in? Fucking boring ass Syndra slides in. And whenever the matchup's good for Gravy, the meta's good for Gravy, it's usually good for Syndra, which means it's amazing for Fai because he shits on both of those decks. He's really good into both of those. So the meta, or the answer your question, the top decks didn't really change in the meta, and the meta shifted, and then the what we got coming to try to take over that meta ended up being something very favorable for Fai. And I talk about this very extensively in my AG article. I think you should check it out, Connor. And I don't want to leak the information that I put into there because, you know, I don't want to cost them money or whatever. But it was a lot of things. And also, you got Ominous Ward. Ominous Ward flipped the Mario matchup. I've like said it once, I'll say it again. It was now favored over the course of like all the games because of Ominous Ward. Ominous Ward, unironically, was the reason Fai was in the meta. It was Ominous Ward and the reaction of the meta in response to Acilio 1. And Acilio 1 got in a flash combo like Volzar deck from leaving the space. Ripple effects, yes. Wax On is a good tech card, but it's not this meta. Or Wax Off is a good tech card, but not this meta. Really get into Rune Blades. It's good. I don't really play with this often. I think it's kind of a bait card. I don't think it's that good. But if you do expect to see a lot of Rune Blades, and you are willing to sacrifice one of your 3D reacts for Wax Ons, because Wax On is still a very powerful card into decks like Syndra and Assassins, where sometimes you can just cast that shit in for like 5 value. Stop giving up so much A for free. You're losing more DoorDash. You're so right. Oh my god, I can't be lazy and sit around and order DoorDash all day. I'm actually giving all this information for free, so I do DoorDash less. Actually, I gotta kick the habit. I don't DoorDash often. I do it like once a week, sometime like semi once a month, depending on financials. But if you do well on ads, I mean, like I'm just gonna do this. Yeah, I think Wax Off's good, just not this meta. And so I think we got our list. Let's fucking go. I've been shooting for about an hour 30. Does anyone have any questions about any specific cards? Oh wait, no. Let me go into the whole bit. I think the top 10 most powerful blues on this list, regardless of grade. This is in no particular order. Actually, we'll go top 5. I think the most powerful ones are Dragon Power, Warmonger's Diplomacy, Rise from the Ashes, Overcrowded, and Rowdy Locals. I think actually most powerful is subjective, but I think that those are the cards that are most consistently getting you good stuff out of it. How dare you put Snatcher Skull emoji? My fault, gang. My fault. It might be peak. But I just gotta test it more. You know what? Honestly, this going in greed is misplaced. Snatch is a greedy ass blue. You're wishing on a fucking star with this shit. It's like, please don't block, please. If you don't want your opponent, like, here's the bit. You're playing this card, right? Because you're like, oh, against opponents that don't block, it's gonna be really good. Against opponents that don't block, Rowdy Locals is really good. And it blocks 3. And it has the additional effect of the blocking and such. It's just like worse Rowdy Locals. Alright. I think it's a mid-piece. If I had to go to top 10, it would probably be Warmongers. It would probably be Warmongers in addition to Epot, Dragon Power, Cinderskin, Overcrowded, Rise from the Ashes Blue, Rowdy Locals. I keep forgetting the names. And I is very powerful. I would put I in the category of a card you could play, but I think it's just like not really enough. So let's go F11. Let's go to my Fabulous. And let's see where I landed with my blues. Hold up. And then F11. Okay, wait. Let me do the fun thing. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this and I'm gonna put it on stream. Boop. Save. This will go in desktop. Yep. This is where we landed on the list. Now let's go into my blue base. Let's go first into the U.S. Nationals list. I wasn't here for your explanation of Dragon Power. Are you just banking the 1-for-5 following? That new Draconic card that turns everything Draconic. No. I think Dragon Power is a bad card to put in your list if you aren't running another card that I tend to like to run, which is Display Loyalty. Display Loyalty is the other way we make that card Draconic. So that's why we have it in the list. The reason why that Dragon Power isn't safe is because you have to also include Display Loyalty, which is a subpar card if you can't use the fealty properly. 1 for 5. This blue black. So yeah, pretty much. I feel like I'd put Arcane Appliance in Skull tier, but I've always been a hater of that card. As a Verdance player, it was always so easy to play around, but might be better against Celine now. Yeah, I just need more reps with that card, but there hasn't really been a meta that's really jumped out to me. I think it probably should be in Skull tier. You might be right about that. Shuka Proc, very nice mask, target even. Absolutely. Shuka Proc, are you... Oh, yeah, with... Yeah, Shuka Proc also just makes it a Lava Burst, effectively, which is so nice. It's not just a 1 for 5, it's 1 for 6, usually. I feel like half the cards on here are blue list synergized with Display Loyalty. Isn't that funny? Isn't that so interesting? That Display Loyalty works well with most of the blue cards you're running anyways. Isn't that crazy, guys? Oh my god, sorry. I have to crash out about that. I don't know if I have the screenshot saved. But, like, I'm going to show you something. Actually, I can't show you because I don't have the subscription. But essentially, across all matchups in Fablazing, Display Loyalty and Dragon Power have like a minus 2% win rate, at least before all the Nat stuff happened. I truthfully think this and Dragon Power are really good. I just think people are bad. I gotta be honest. I gotta be so fucking real. That's just how I feel. This card synergizes with every single like it synergizes with fucking every single non-draconic blue when because you're playing Oath of Loyalty. It synergizes with Dragon Power. It synergizes with fucking Overcrowded. It synergizes with Warmongers. It's so good. It's so freaking good. I miss Brand every day too. I miss Brand every day. Yeah, Fablazing is so broken. Y'all gotta get that shit. I don't have the subscription anymore because every time like the only reason I really bought it was because there was someone in Fi Chat who was just like, well, the statistics on Fablazing say X or Y or Z, and was like unwilling to have like an argument outside of those statistics. When like, sure, I know their numbers, but like if you take a statistics class, you understand that you can get any sort of conclusion. If you strangle data enough, you can get it to say anything you want. How's my feeling? General question. Do you have to use Fablazing in order to play Fab these days? No. I think Fablazing, like, okay. The draft tool on Fablazing, which is free, is good. I recommend using Fablazing, the free version of Fablazing. It gives you everything you need as a Fab player. But I think, like, the utility of Fablazing Premium, it mainly comes from the fact that you can see how good a card is performing into every single matchup in the game, which is kind of important sometimes when you don't have enough data on individual matchups with a character like Fai, who was relatively unpopular for the longest time. And so you kind of had to look at like the whole data as a whole to get like any kind of like meaningful conclusion. But I genuinely believe that if your hero is popular enough, if your hero is popular and good enough, you can already learn everything you can learn from the Fablazing general data tab from just watching like a deck tech video or watching a YouTuber like talk about the hero. And if it's up for a smaller hero that not a lot of people play, usually the data is really fucked because there's just not enough of it and people haven't discovered the sauce on the hero. Was that a rate conversational? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I agree exactly what Depth said. Or Def. Like DE1, Delph? Delph? We're going to go with Delph. It's not mandatory, but if you're a stats nerd, it's great. Absolutely. Tasha Yasha. Let me do F11 on this. But yeah. No, Fablazing is good, but you can't really draw meaningful conclusions from it. It's hard to draw meaningful conclusions of it unless you're really good at analyzing data. I've never used Fablazing, and I can BS my way through most things, but I've been playing the game for many years and many amazing players. It's a good tool to augment, accelerate your understanding. I would agree. I would agree with that. I would say, Delph it is. Yay! Okay, sweet. One more thing, to Carrie about like the Fablazing. God, did I just lose my train of thought? I was just gonna say it. I had a really good point. God damn it. Like to point out something. Yeah. Let me point out something. Let's go to Fablazing right now. Fab Blazing. I think it's Fab Blazing. I don't fucking know. I don't know, dog. Ah! Okay, we're fine. We're fine. We're fine. We're fine. We're fine. Great players, but I still suck. This game is fucking really hard. I felt the exact same way to you, where I played the game for like 2 years, and I'm like, God, I'm so bad at this game. I'd like, how do I win? And then I top 40 US stats, and I'm like, oh wait, I'm actually kind of good. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So we're gonna select, for the purpose of this, we're gonna go Fai Rising Rebellion. And this segues into another topic I want to talk about at some point, but we're just gonna address it here. Gravy Bones, Shipwreck Looter. We have a 60% win rate. Let's look at equipment. We have about, let's like expand the range of this to like the last 90 days. I think that's pretty reasonable. We get a lot more data that way, even though most of it came from, like half of the data came from the last like 15 days. Okay. Here's the bet. We're going to zoom in here. We're going to move this over to the side. You zoom out a little bit. Check this shit out. Mask of Momentum, according to Fablazing data, increases your win rate by 10%. This seems like a slam dunk. This seems, Ashlyn, play Mask of Momentum into Gravy. It's the correct choice. Even Mask of the Pouncing Lynx is down from what it normally is. But if you look at my list, you don't even have to take it from me. You can take it from Matthew Gump. Both of us understood Gravy was going to be there, but we didn't take Momentum, because what we've both come to the conclusion is that Mask of Momentum is good into bad Gravies that are bad at blocking Mask of Momentum, especially from a deck like Fai, and don't take it into consideration when making play lines. Mask of Momentum really hard punishes those play styles. But against the good Gravy players who know how to play around Mask of Momentum and know exactly what they're doing into it, I found it to be a lot worse than Lynx, where I would get like against the good Gravies, they would only limit it to basically they would only limit it to like at worst one draw in a game, and I can't guarantee the value of whatever that draw is. So yeah, 1000%. Thank you. Like Carrie, yeah, like this is what I'm talking about, where like Fablazing is helpful, but you have to understand that all of the results on here is from the compiling the average Talishar player. It's taking all that into account when it comes to this. And so if you take the average Talishar player and you make them play a bunch of games, you know what happens? You know what you get? You get this. It's probably going to change a little bit because I explained how to win. This is probably one of the best matchups in the game for you. And it's a negative win rate on Talishar. This is like an 80%er for Fai. Equipment, obviously, like your Roy buffs it up. But truthfully, people don't know what the fuck they're doing on here. They don't know what the fuck they're doing on Talishar, especially on underrepresented heroes or heroes who just broke out in the meta and don't have like a lot of players playing them. So, Fablazing is cool. It's a great resource. But you have to understand where the data is getting pulled from. It's the average Talishar player. I would say that there are so many useful things on Fablazing that you can get with premium, but this is the most common thing I see it used for, and it's very good. Like, the service is amazing, and you can draw conclusions, but I wouldn't say that, like, this is, like, going to elevate your gameplay by too much, or it's going to, like, give you all the answers. You still have to have, like, a reasonable understanding of the game to be able to, like, properly utilize something like this. But I will say something, Tools? Yeah, do this. Do this. Fucking, this shit is broken, and it's free. If you want to play, if you want to go to an event and win with draft, if you want to find one like me, you fucking use the shit out of this tool. You can analyze this on Draftmancer, but this makes it so much easier. You can see which hero they're playing, how many cards they got, what thing they're passing in. What was I on this list? You can see that you were the only Ziggy in actually the correct Ziggy slot based on the fact that you don't have two of the other Ziggies here, right? You can see when people started drafting. You can get a good idea, like, you can understand whether, oh, was I doing something wrong or was this person forcing? It also gives you a good idea going into an event. Is the average person forcing or they're staying open? We got to staying open, forcing, staying open, forcing. This shit's broken. You should use this. And you should play Draftmancer. That's my Blazing thing. Back to this. Let me look. I'm going to start catching up on chat after my rant. Pick a dude who plays on the hero. This looks cool. And then I flail around for 6 months and do it again on someone else. Real shit. A lot of the coolest looking heroes are the worst being heroes in the game most of the time. Honestly, as a person who played Fai when he was dog shit and loves playing Max when he's dog shit, playing dog shit heroes is really fun. Playing the heroes that aren't really that good gives you a lot of edges and advantages and allows you to get into the game cheaply and like try a hero cheaply. So I like it a lot. That's usually what I gravitate towards. And I think those are usually the coolest heroes because they're just doing some funny ass shit. Statistics are good given context. You cannot look at statistics in a vacuum. That person you're getting with discussion, you were getting a discussion with was. Yeah. And like, imagine the Fai chat. If every single time we had card discourse, someone came in and said, here's a screenshot from Blazing statistics. I am right. You are wrong. Look at the data. Like, it kind of halts any like fun and interesting discussions that you can have in the chat consistently. I said your mom doesn't transfer over into Fai. For anyone curious about that, she threatens mom twice and her draws are super consistent. Fai can't flick to carry the mom chain and has less. Good players can deal with Syndra's mom well. How much easier is Fai's mom be? Will Fai's mom be? Very. Couldn't have said it better myself. Because the draws. This is why doing your own testing is so important. Absolutely, Panda. Absolutely. Data is not even information. Yeah, I really like playing the weirdos. Like Vin, whose main hero power was like for 3 sets, well, she can stab herself. Yeah, the shit is so sick. Like Max is like, this hero completely fucking blows dick. But if he gets into the funny mech, he can just win the game. That's really fun. Do Joneses, folks. Do. My teriyaki's getting cold. Still good though. Anyways, this is my blue base going into Nats. Which I think you can see all of it. Nothing that I put in this list went above it's okay usually. I had one it's okay usually. And the rest were just safe except for the Lava Vein loyalty. And if you look at my current blue base now, I can delete this now, which is cool. On my Nationals reflection list, it's very similar, pretty much identical, except I have one extra blue and I have Warmongers. So I have one greed, I have one it's okay usually, and then the rest are regular safe. So my blue base is still leaning on the safer side. However, I'm no longer running the like baby's first blue, very, very safe cards. And I've instead chose to go a little bit greedier with my blue base because I think Warmongers is powerful enough that it's worth the greed. I think if you go anything in the greedy or above category, you have to have a very specific reason to run it. And for Warmongers, it's just the right meta for it. Okay, so Puffin won. I think, like, Puffin's cool, but she's just not really my vibe. I don't like the Pirate Puffin list. It's not the type of deck I usually play. And the Boost Puffin is just not, like, particularly interesting to me. But I think she's cool. I think she has cool mechanics. It's just, like, there's a difference between whether I find a hero cool conceptually versus, like, actually playing. 1-1 with compounding. What does the Warmongers replace? Essentially what happened was, I took out an Oath of Loyalty in the main board. Actually, wait, no, I didn't take an Oath of Loyalty. Essentially, the Mongers replaced the Display Loyalty slot. Because Compounding Anger, the second Compounding Anger got replaced by a Phoenix Form. And yeah. And my 2 packages became a different size. So if I we can off it. Yeah. You know the same people who are like, I will believe statistics regardless of what context matters. They were like they were perma 3 oath truthers into every matchup. And I understand that statistically the chances of drawing 2 oaths is low. And also the chances of drawing and the worstness of drawing 1 oath on your pop-up turn is like not bad. But it's like this is just a risk you don't need to take. Like you don't need to put the 3rd one in. And also putting in 1 is risky too. Like it's weird. The only time I play Pummel in a format is when I'm playing Sage and when I'm playing Scurv. I got the Marvel Scurv, by the way. This shit used to be like $15. Now it's like 150. I don't think I'm ever gonna sell it. Yeah, and this is like the by the way, I like playing Fai and Sage because obviously I like playing Fai and I get to play Rake in that format and it's actually good. But my favorite Sage deck is Scurv. I have like my blinged out Scurv deck with like, I don't have everything blinged out, but I have a lot of it. I have a lot of it blinged out where I have like a lot of the treasure pack cards. I bought like the treasure pack Shifting Tides right before they spiked when Taylor started putting them in Marlin. So I just have like a $50 card single sleeved in here. But I got the drip here. Unfortunately, I don't have the Marvel Sticky Fingers because that's impossible to get. But everything else is pretty drip. Yeah, Fai is really cool in Sage. Would Phoenix Form be better if I had 1 less attack? No. I get what you're saying because it triggers Shuko. And like... And it triggers Spreading Flames easier. However, in the situations where it would trigger Spreading Flames easier, you would be playing it on the 3rd chain. And you do not want to play this card on the 3rd chain because you need to get to 3 chain links to activate Fai to get the Phoenix Flame in the first place. Well, I mean, like, it's not... This deck is not too expensive. It's actually kind of worth probably around, like, $250 at this point. Just purely on bling. But I won my Scurv. This is this... My first ever event that I won was, Crack Shuffle Play, Mastery Pack Guardian. And I won the Scurv off of it. And like, winning the Scurv be like, let me try building the Scurv hero. So I did. All right, I'm gonna head out. Thanks for the fun and informative stream. See you guys next time. See you later, Delph. Thank you for coming out. I really appreciate it. Mwah. Shuka and Mask. It's cool and Sage. Oh no, not single sleeved. Fi Girl made the Sage, a Fi Sage guide and playing Scurv. My go. When are they giving us Fi Marvel? I like the Fi Marvel's cool, but Loki, can I be honest? The cold foil Fi looks so good that like. I don't, it's like, it doesn't, like, the entire armor is cold foil, and it looks so fucking clean. If you haven't bought one of those, you should. Oh my god, I guarantee you they spiked on TCG Player. Holy shit, I'm so, let me look at this. Yeah, Fi, Rising Rebellion. Oh, it didn't really spike too much. Yeah, you should pick these up. They're really good. They look really nice. Link's a 2-power Phoenix Form. Oh, me when I troll. Yeah, no, this card would be nuts if it was a 2-power. Oh, yeah, I would actually, like, play it more. Like, Phoenix Form would have been a viable deck if it was 2 or less. Unironically. I didn't even think about that. That's really cool. Y'all are so smart. But anyways, I'll do one last thing because I talked about it. Oh, side note, I'm making a Scurv, If you ever played Dan Dan from Magic, it's essentially that. Let me just like delete this real quick. Not that screen. This. Yep. This is Dan Dan. But Scurf. Scurf. And I just play that like my boy Happy. Yeah, the Young Fai Marvel is very beautiful too. That's what I'm saying. I've been playing this crap for a long time. Yeah. Are you even a real Fai player? I'm a fake fan. What can I say? I'm a bandwagoner, actually. I saw people do... I, like, realized that Fai was broken, and that's the reason I played him at US Nats. It's not actually because I've been, like, making content for this hero for, like, a year now. But yeah, this is Scurf. Y'all should, like... This is my, like, Scurf. I'm eventually going to put it together in paper. But I think it's, like, a really fun thing. Where you share a deck of 80 cards, and you have a bunch of, like, gold drawing and top deck manipulation with, like, saltwater swells and lighten the loads. And, like, you have a bunch of, like, things incentivizing you to crack golds. And then you have, like, not so fast to, like, prevent your opponent from drawing. It's very good. Yeah, I think the Young Fai Marvel is, like, relatively cheap, too. Yeah, let me switch it up. Fai Marvel. Yeah, it's, like, $30. I love the fact that the pen Marvels are very cheap. You know what's a deck I should try playing? I bought the Marvel and then immediately sold it to pay for, like, a Marvel fealty. I should play Benji. This deck seems really fun. But anyways, here's the real meat and potatoes. This is my Scurv list that I run. It's not anything stellar, mind you. It's a solid mid-range wager-based Scurv that I really do enjoy, and I think it's very good. I've played a lot with this deck, and I've tested a lot, so feeling pretty good. I might do a deck tech on this if I do well at a Sage event with it. So probably until the end of time, I'm just gonna bring this to every like serious Sage event that I play, because like the original idea was like I might not be able to win with Fai and CC, but I can at least play him in the showdowns. And now the fact that I top 4 US Nats, I'm like that pressure to like do really well at like a small, like one of these fab events to prove myself is like off. So now I can just like fuck around and play Scurv at like these these showdowns. All right, try to do something fun with him. Yeah, chest buff is so good. So good. 2-card 7. And if you have like, what's it called? If you have, like, it gives you the resource so you can like do, if you activate Gold Kiss swing this, you can then swing Tile Sharp. So it's like literally like a 2-card 10. It's very flexible. I like it. This is the Siren slot. And I'm actually, like, I know it's not as good as Sirens. And I would prefer to play Sirens. And I really liked my deck when I was playing Sirens because I could run, like, Rally the Coast Guard as a blue to, like, discard Sirens as, like, a synergy. It's really fun that way. But like, this is a very fine replacement. And then, yeah. I got, like, Wage Gold Test of Strengths. We got Red Sloops to be able to, like, combo off and match us when we need to. On the Horizon is super good. It's just a solid mid-range list. I don't have anything too crazy. Trot Along is probably the more crazy thing I have in this list because this is really good if you have sticky fingers around. Because if like for example, you're going second and you have a full hand, or your opponent forces you to convert a full hand, which doesn't happen often. But I mean, if you're forced to go second, you usually can't convert the hand too well. This is just like, oh, I can just like make my guy swing for 2. And then also if you need gold on your turn and you've given your opponent gold, you can play this and swing with sticky fingers. It's really cool. Have you tried Yellow Pummel? I have. I don't like it. I like Yellow Pummel in a list where you're running stuff like Break Open the Chests, and Golden Tipples, and any kind of like Yellow Matters cards. But I've found that those decks are just not nearly as fun to play and are very inconsistent in what they're trying to do. I don't even like Blue Pummel. This probably, I did like I like the utility of Blue Pummel, and I probably should have it. But this is like probably going to be the wounding. Like it's the 3 for 5 that blocks for 3 that has no text. So it has more clash equity and also is like reasonable to play. I don't even like Red Pummel sometimes, but it's still really good. And then we got this for like the like, I mean, obviously we have a lot of poppers for like Dromai or Gravy, like Dromai, but like if you don't draw a popper, it's really bad. And this can also just play so good double duty and like swing in like a drone my matchup. And then we obviously have like Trench plus Unmovable as our crazy combo. But yeah, that's my script list. I think that's all that I wanted to happen on the stream. We did end up going for like 2 hours and like 10 minutes. So I'm pretty happy with that. We got through most of what we wanted to talk about. So I think I'm going to end it here stream. And I'm going to go relax and lay down. And just chill out. So I'd like to thank you guys so much for checking out the stream. Really appreciate it. I'll do a little link ski in the chat real quick. Y'all should check out my AG article. Subscribing to AG Premium is the best way to support me. Sorry. I still had food in my mouth. The best way to support me right now is to go check out AG Premium. I do believe in the service. I do believe it's really good. I think you should buy it. And if we got a lot of subscriptions, it probably increases the chance of me writing for them again. So please go check that out. Try to read the article. And have a very good night. Love y'all.